Hello YouTube. So I've decided I have a name for my channel. De-bodgery. De-bodgery. So there's my 3-jaw chuck on the XYZ or XY rotary table. And here's my drill press that I use for milling and whatnot. So you've seen plenty of videos of me doing things on here. And you know how much people like to roll their eyes at people doing stuff the wrong possible way, like, say, milling on a drill press. Oh my God, that's just horrendous and horrible. That can't possibly be done, but obviously it can. So I decided to take it a little bit further. Because, you know, annoying people that are sure that things can only be done one way is, of course, my favorite thing in the world to do. So here is my jet wood lathe. And this is a De-bodgery, whatever it is, like 4 inches across, 3 inches across. So anyway, the wood lathe has got this indexing screw on it. It's got 2 positions, 2 threaded holes in here that gives me incremental movements around here. I think it's every 30 degrees. Or rather, no, it's 2 of them, and each one of these things, there's 12 index holes around the spindle inside here. So, you know, times the second hole, which gives you a bunch of different angles. All right, so anyway, here's my wood lathe. And yes, all you woodworkers that have jets or other lathes out there are going to be annoyed to death because I'm going to do metalworking on my wood lathe. And you're going to love me for it, and you're going to all roll your eyes and say, that's just not possible. And I'm going to say, yes, but it is. So anyway, I had a problem to solve, and, well, I didn't want to spend any money because I'm a cheap bastard. So here is the problem. You can see it. So those holes right there, which there's 6 of them around the perimeter of this, which is the base, or rather the bottom, of a motor bell for an outrunner, they are M3 threads, and they're about 1 centimeter deep. Well, 3 of the 6 holes are stripped out, so I needed to drill them deeper. Well, you know, the obvious little simple easy answer would be to take the cordless drill and just go bzzz, drill those holes deeper, right? It's like, yeah, but I'm trying to do things in a more accurate, better way. So I thought, okay, how do I pull this thing off? I have a cross vise, I have a drill, I have a wood lathe that's got these increments around here that are every 60 degrees. So what can I do to make this work? Well, obviously, this is not exactly square, so it doesn't clamp up in a cross vise, but it does have this collar right here that the craptastic plastic handle goes on. So this was a great place to mount, and anyway, so that's what I decided to use that right there. And I made that. So I started out on the, oh, God forbid, milling on the wood, on the drill press, but yes, I did. So I took a square piece of 1/2-inch aluminum, and I made that ID, which is just slightly larger than this OD. And then this M5 screw clamps that whole assembly together around that collar, which then holds that 1/2-inch thick piece of aluminum nice and secure to right there. All right. So obviously I milled a shoulder on here so that that screw could go in, and of course that's an M5 screw. And this is 90 degrees to this, and that's 90 degrees to that. And come on. This edge right here is 90 degrees to that. So in 2 different directions, or I guess you could say on 3 different ways, this little bracket is 90 degrees in every possible way. So when this is on here, and there's a face right here, and this is pushed up against here and clamped down by that screw, well, that means that the drill bit is 90 degrees to that face in all directions. Take this little assembly, stick it in the cross vise, and without doing anything, because I mean it's loose right now, just clamp it down. As long as those bottom edges are on these 2 faces, and as long as this doesn't clamp crooked, now the drill bit, or the chuck rather, is also exactly 90 degrees that way, both this direction and this direction. So anyway, this little part took me a couple hours to make, and now I can clamp my cordless drill in the cross vise so that I can drill with it. All right, so next thing. This is the base for the tool rest for the lathe. The bottom edge is machined flat, so it sits on here nicely. but this edge here was cast, so I used this edge down here as a reference point, and used the cross vise and the drill press to then mill this surface right here exactly 90 degrees to this bottom surface. So look right there, there are a bunch of 6 screws, and there's a bunch of screw holes right there, so a bunch of M6 screws go into here, into there, and now the cross vise, I'll get it to stay put, and it can't, now stands vertically. So essentially what that does is that makes this your Z-axis, in other words up and down. This is still Y-axis, in and out, and this, yeah, a bit of a bodge. I'll come up with something later. I want to put something that sits inside here because these inner surfaces are machined, so some piece in here that keeps us from rotating will then keep me 90 degrees this way, but in between time I take a square from this face to here to get 90 degrees and lock it down. So now I've got 90 degrees to this point of rotation in 3 different axes. All right, so anyway, next step is, try not to drop my part. So here is my bottom of my motor bell. It goes on the Nova chuck, which expands out into that ID, clamping that in place. Use this to set my points of rotation every 60 degrees. Use this to adjust the height, because remember this is now standing vertically. This is now going to be my depth of cut for the drill bit. And here is my x-axis. So I get this position I want, I lock it down or pretty close, just kind of slightly snug, and then I use a hammer, tap it to get it all straight, check my squareness again, and then start at the drill and go, turn this one to drill in and out to get my depth. Pull the drill back out again, turn this to the next 60-degree increment, lock that back down again, drill the next hole. And that's how I use my wood lathe to drill those holes deeper, perpendicular to the circumference, every 60 degrees in this piece of aluminum. Next thing, of course, will be, I won't use a tool rest at all, make that go away. I'll have a long section of steel or aluminum that sits in here. On the underside of the tool rest is a large washer on a lobed cam attached to this handle. I'll do the same thing for that block so I can lock it in place. And then that will give me a piece that will stay 90 degrees, or well, I guess in that case it'll be parallel to the center of this, and I mount something on here, i.e. the cross vise, say, to that, and then I can have something that stays exactly 90 degrees in the slot, and then I can do a lot more interesting things on the drill press. The other thing then, of course, and I'll have to find it, but I have a base that you use for screwing onto like a hunk of wood for turning it on here. That's got the correct threads for this, so I'll use that, and I'll probably end up getting a larger 3-jaw chuck, because this one is, well, it's really a 4-jaw chuck, and I don't have any machine jaws for it, so, or rather they don't even exist. So anyway, get a 3-jaw chuck with proper jaws on it, and this is a 4-jaw chuck that is automatic centering, so it's not even a proper 4-jaw chuck. So I can't even use it to center things properly. It's really a 3-jaw chuck with 4 jaws. So anyway, get a proper 3-jaw chuck put on here, and with that extra little gizmo that I put on here, then I can do actual real live machining on a wood lathe, which really ought to irritate a bunch of woodworkers out of there. But hey, you know what? I don't care. If it irritates you and you can't handle that, that's your problem, not mine. I'm going to take a tool that otherwise sits here that I've had for many years and doesn't do anything, and I'm going to use it for making metal bits. And I can still turn bowls and stuff like I ever did before. But now I can do other stuff too, like metal. So anyway, that ought to irritate a few people, and it will be fun. So anyway, YouTube, if you're looking for things that you can do in your shop that don't cost a whole lot of money, and you have some basic tools like, say, a wood lathe or a drill press and stuff, you can do a heck of a lot of interesting things, like, say, drill holes in the edge of stuff on your wood lathe, or machine parts on your drill press. They're not quite as good as you'd get out of a mill, but hey, I'm not looking for professional quality. I'm looking for something useful to me, and I can definitely make that.